What's up guys, my name is SnyperSama, but you can call me Sniper. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are rocking an any shield weapon build. Now, what I mean by that specifically is you can use this entire build with very minimal RNG, okay, with every weapon that has a shield. So, greatsword, sword and shield, lance, gunlance, charge blade, heavy bowgun. Now, the reason it works with all of these weapons, and only these weapons specifically, is because the idea behind it was this was the tankiest setup I could create. Now, I know in the past that I have made tank builds, and I have made immortality builds. This is kind of a blend of both, and at least in my opinion, minus the full immortality recovery build, is the best rendition of them all, which is why I'm calling it the shield weapon unkillable build. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Right now, you can see that I have charge blade on. If you saw the thumbnail, you also know I am showcasing the charge blade for this. That is because I already had this charge blade rolled and available. Like I said though, this goes for every single shielded weapon. Super important. Okay, the big thing for all of this, the only RNG behind the entire build is right here with the set bonus skill, Gravios protection. You don't need Lord Soul. You do not need anything else. No crazy charm, talisman, no crazy decorations. This should be stuff that you already have just from playing the game. Okay, so set bonus skill, Gravios protection. The way Gravios protection works, reduces damage you take by 20% when your health is full. Typically, you wouldn't think anything of that. However, what you need to remember is that it's very easy to keep your health full. And if you're playing well, especially on a shielded weapon, you can perfect guard, you can negate a lot of chip damage, and on top of that, depending on which shielded weapon you're using, you might either have the best guard available in the game, or you might have the best mobility with all of the shielded weapons, okay? Overall, the idea behind this build is to tank literally everything, to use your shield as your weapon. Because what was the old saying? A good offense is a good defense, or a good defense is a good offense. It's literally case in point with this build. Okay, the only RNG part is you need a Gogma Ardian weapon with flawless armor, Gravios protection. That's it. Okay. Now, because that was the only thing you're going for, I will say this. If you can get your reinforcements with attack, sharpness, and affinity, you'll be golden. You could go 4 attack if that's what you have. It is not crazy. You don't need to worry about min-maxing your attack with this build. This build is to showcase a war of attrition, okay? And you're the one coming out on top, all right? All in all, like I said, only RNG, Gravios protection. Next up, this is a preference, but at least it works for me. Queen Cordmaker is here, and normally I don't care about the secondary weapon. However, with Queen Cordmaker, it has some wonderful perks. First off, you have the Echo Bubble, health regeneration. Health regeneration is really nice because it'll just keep your health full. And so if you start a fight using that, put down 3 Echo Bubbles and then swap weapons, you're golden. On top of that, you can get health recovery small, recovery speed large, and if you were to stick using with it, maybe you're playing with people and they're getting hit, they're getting messed up, you have Melody of Life right here to heal them as well. So, at least for me, I was using this with my charge blade to kind of min-max the health portion of it when I saw that people were struggling, and just at the start of the fight, because the attack of large, health recovery, and recovery speed are all very nice. Okay, as far as the armor, we have Gogmazios Helmet Alpha. This is going to... The armor part is very specific, okay? You can see we kind of have a mix of things, and the reason for it. Gogmazios Helmet Alpha gives us super recovery, which ties into our Numinous Shroud Beta, also super recovery. So now, thanks to our weapon and Gogmazios Greaves Beta, we have 2 levels of Flawless Armor. Flawless Armor is going to do the 20% reduced damage. On top of that, though, thanks to our helmet and our chest plate, we have Super Recovery 1, which is going to allow us to heal all of the red health and continue. Okay? So when you are fighting, you are literally going to be able to not only prevent yourself from getting hit as hard when you have full health, but you're also going to be able to slowly heal yourself all the way back up. And then lastly, for all of the Gogmazios pieces, you have Mutual Hostility too. Now, I'm fully aware that we don't get to take full advantage of mutual hostility 2 because we don't have an element on either of our weapons. However, we do get to take advantage of the damage barrier, which is a 75 HP damage barrier that literally just activates whenever the monster becomes enraged, and you can tank anything. You literally will not take damage. And on top of that, this works extremely, extremely well with flawless armor, meaning that that 75 HP lasts 20% longer because every time you get hit, you are going to take less damage. It's a very, very nice synergy that allows everything to work flawlessly. Now, a lot of you guys have been talking in my YouTube comments, Sniper, all you do is show builds with these God Roll RNG talismans. Here is what I'm going to tell you. Defense Charm. Defense Charm 5. Literally crafted. 5 levels of defense boost, and I am a huge stan of defense boost. And the reason for it is going to increase your defense percentage-wise, a raw amount, and it's going to increase your elemental resistances. Depending on what you're fighting, that may matter. It may not. The thing about defense boost, though, is that you are so easily able to make it to where you don't take as much damage that it ends up just benefiting having that invulnerability shield more. The more defense you have, the less damage you take. The more full your health is, once it is full, the less damage you are going to take. When you combine all of these different defense-oriented stats, they create a very harmonious synergy that allows you to kind of tank anything, which is really, really nice. Not to mention, I said this was RNG free minus the Gravios protection, but it's only one part. So ideally, as long as you don't get absolutely screwed over, you'll be okay. And last but not least is the Mending Mantle. The Mending Mantle is super, super valuable, and the reason for that is because it's just going to keep your health up. You could use Rocksteady, you could argue for that, but in the case of this, where we are trying to war of attrition, everything that we're fighting, that we're going to be the ones that come out on top, not because we're doing the most damage, but because we are a wall, Mending Mantle really, really lends itself to be the best pick here because you don't have to worry about anything else. You just keep healing. As far as the decorations go, they're pretty straightforward. We have a Challenger Jewel. We have 1, 2, 3 protection jewels. The reason we're rocking Challenger is thanks to all of our gear, we actually have Agitator level 5, which is really, really nice because it pairs specifically with the Gogm Apocalypse shield. Not only will Agitator give us an increased affinity, increased raw attack, but we will also get the shield from Gogm Apocalypse. Then we have Defense 1 and 2. This is just to finish out the build. It gives us defense boost level 7. We have 1 Mighty Jewel. This is giving us maximum might, so we still get to take advantage of critical hits, and we don't have to worry about any of our strikes being weak strikes. Last but not least, there is 3 main key components that kind of help everything run along. You do have a Chain Jewel here. This is not what I'm referring to. Chain Jewel is nice, but thanks to our armor, we already have 2 levels of it. This ended up just being the one thing that I was going for. Ideally, it would have been Elemental Absorption, but for whatever reason, there's not a decoration for that. I don't know why that they haven't brought it, but it's only on a couple of pieces of armor and randomly on talismans that are RNG based. And I was trying to make this not RNG. So, Chain Jewel here, you could opt for another level of earplugs, although it's not needed, depending on what you're fighting. That is where the next pieces come together. So, earplugs themselves, as you guys have stated in my YouTube comments, nullifies at level 2 weak monster roars and reduces the effects of strong monster roars. There are very, very few monsters in this game that actually need earplugs level 3. Thank you, YouTube comment section, for reminding me a million times about this. I do appreciate it, but I was really like, all right, guys, like, do you not read each other's comments? Like, I don't need 80 of you telling me this. Thanks, though. Earplugs level 2 is more than good enough. And in fact, depending on what you end up using as far as hunting horn goes, because you can use a different one if you would so choose, you can just put it there. Alternatively, you could just replace this 1 level of chain for earplugs. The big final piece to all of this is flare. Now, you might be asking, Sniper, why are you using flare? Well, the reason we use flare is because flare actually got a huge buff in Title Update 4. When Title Update 4, it was put onto the same spectrum as 4A, and onto the same spectrum as White Flame Torrent, Scorcher, all of these different things. Now, flare works differently than the rest of them. However, it did get a boost. Basically, what flare does, it's kind of like an intrinsic part breaker. It's going to, rather than make it easier to break monster parts. It is going to make it easier to inflict wounds. While you are making it easier to inflict wounds, though, you have a internal cooldown going off that is just going to apply more damage throughout the fight. Think of it kind of like blast attack, but it has to do with wounds, and it will randomly detonate. Okay, super, super valuable. Ends up adding a ton of damage, and thanks to the fact that we're using shield weapons, the only one that really suffers, or the only two that really suffer, are Charge Blade and Gunlance. And that's because Gunlance shelling attacks don't proc flare, and Charge Blade, the Savage Axe itself, does not, or the ticks of when it's going through the monster, do not proc it. Everything else works, meaning you're able to take full advantage of flare. And it's honestly, it's pretty nice. It does a good job. Last but not least, the reason we are going with shield is because, like I said, it is a war of attrition. The reason we are calling it, I am calling it a war of attrition, is because you literally can do anything. Not only do you have defense boost level 7, you have peak performance to give yourself more attack when you have full health, maximum might to take advantage of affinity, divine blessing, elemental absorption, so you can just sit there and increase your elemental attack depending on what weapon you roll this on, and it's also going to give you more resistances. Super, super valuable. But on top of that, we have offensive guard, which is just going to give us more raw attack, razor sharp, which is going to make it to where we don't have to worry about our sharpness, guard, which is just going to make it to where we don't have to deal with the impact of attacks if we don't get a perfect guard, and it's also not going to leave us stamina lost. And then guard up, which literally is just going to make it to where you take less damage when you guard if you don't do a perfect guard, and you can do any sort of unblockable attack. This build is absolutely crazy because you can literally do whatever you want. So you can see here, even with the full setup, as defense oriented as it is, we have 270 raw attack, 30% affinity. We do have the 100 element from my paralysis, but we're not applying that. 550 defense. Okay, we have so much going for us that it is absolutely ludicrous. So what I'm going to do is we'll put it in smash mode. We'll turn on agitator, elemental, and goggle apocalypse, and we'll take one more look. You can see here, 550 defense, 290 raw attack, 45% affinity. Our element stayed the same, but it would have increased had we actually been using an element, not a status effect. And then on top of that, perfect guard, offensive guard, 330 raw attack. So what we can do, as you can see, I just don't take damage. Not only do we have Divine Blessing active to help us, but we are able to take full advantage of literally everything. Not only do you have so much defense that you are completely impenetrable, but nothing's going to get through. This 75 HP shield ends up being insanely good when you pair it with other things, because even once it breaks, you're still going to be able to heal everything back up. So not only do you get a shield, you get to reduce the damage you take, you get to heal what damage you might take, and you can literally block everything with ease. Like, it's absolutely ludicrous. Overall, this build is a lot of fun, and if any of you are new to Monster Hunter and you are still struggling with some of the harder fights like Omega, even Gogmazios, I know that this is using a lot of Gogmazios pieces, but nonetheless, Gogmazios, at least in my opinion, is easier than Omega. This is a really, really good build, or if you're playing with people that are new and maybe they're struggling a little bit, this is such a fun build. It lends itself to be just truly amazing at entry-level play. Meaning, you can make a lot of mistakes and you can learn the game. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be my War of Attrition Unkillable build. That is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for coming to watch it. Thank you all for hanging out. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. As well, I almost forgot the rest of this, my bad. If you guys are as interested in just watching my content, what I do, what I play, I stream over on Twitch most nights over at twitch.tv/SnyperSama. So, feel free to come drop a follow. Feel free to come take a gander. See if watching me live stream is more interesting than watching my YouTube videos. That's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you all for coming to watch it. Thank you all for hanging out. I'll see all of you in the next one. Farewell. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.